There is a particular kind of morning that arrives after a long stretch of walking. Not the first morning of a journey, when everything is unfamiliar and every step feels significant, but the later one. A morning where I know how far I have come, and still cannot say where I am going. I stand at this edge. Behind me, if I turn to look, I can trace the whole shape of how I arrived here. It began long ago with a question, so simply it barely seemed like a question at all. What would tomorrow think? I didn't know. When I first asked it, that it would take me anywhere. Questions like that can disappear before they lead to something. This one didn't. It opened, and it kept open. I remember hope, early on, not as an answer, but as a kind of fuel, something that let me keep walking before I had any reason to trust the road. I remember adventure, the restlessness that made distance feel like an invitation rather than an obstacle. I remember emotion arriving uninvited at every turn, refusing to be reasoned away, insisting on being felt before it could be understood. I remember choice, the many small forks that never announced themselves as important until afterwards. I remember consequence, following each choice quietly, patiently, never in a hurry, to collect what was old. I remember discovery, rare and modest, never as large as I hoped, but real. And I remember death, too, not my own, but its presence at the edges of everything, reminding me that the walking itself was never guaranteed, that this had never been a road I was owed the end of. Out of all of that, I built something to walk towards, not uncertainty, but the shape. I built the idea of a checkpoint, fixed, unmoved, indifferent to my opinions about it. A stone I could reach, touch, and stand before, without it needing to explain itself. I reached it. And beyond it, I reached another place, one that felt, without my fully knowing why it's significant, I have come to call it the golden place. Nothing has revealed itself there yet. It has not spoken, it has not opened. It is simply the furthest point I have reached, great. In the way that everything on this world eventually turns out to be great. Once looked at closely enough. And so here I stand, further along than I have ever been, holding more understanding than I started with. And still, if someone asked me the only question that matters, which way now, I would have to say I don't know. For a long time, I mistook this as a problem to be solved before the walking would continue, and if not knowing the route was a kind of failure hiding behind all my progress, as if enough hope, enough reasoning, enough discovery should have eventually produced a map. I waited for that map more than once, and it never arrived. I began to suspect now that I had been asking the wrong question of myself. I had been quietly measuring my progress by direction, by whether the way ahead had become clearer, whether the shape of the road has resolved into something I could describe to another person with confidence. And by that measure, nothing has changed. I am exactly as unable to punch forward as I was many mornings ago. But there is another way to measure it, one I have been reluctant to trust, because it offers no map and no comfort of certainty. Movement is not the same as maps direction. I can walk a great distance without ever being able to draw the road behind me. I can pass through hope and adventure and loss and choice and arrive somewhere without any of that experience automatically converting into a route forward. Direction is a kind of knowledge, movement is a kind of proof. I have moved, but I still don't know the way, and I have been treating the absence of the second as if it cancelled the first. This is not defeat. I am careful about that distinction because defeat would be easier to sit with. It would at least offer an ending, a place to stop and call it finished. This is not that, nor is it a triumph dressed up to look like humility, some quiet self-congratulation disguised as honesty. It would be just as false for me to declare that not knowing it is itself a secret kind of progress, a private treasure I have been carrying without noticing. I resist that too. What remains once I put both on those temptations aside is simply the truth of where I stand. I have moved a great distance to a real experience, and I still honestly do not know which way it leads to tomorrow. I sit with that for a while, not trying to resolve it. There is something almost strange about how uncomfortable this admission still feels, even after everything I would have expected. This far into the walking that not knowing would grow lighter to carry. It hasn't, exactly, it has only grown more familiar, which is not the same thing as easier, but is perhaps its own kind of company. I think briefly of all of the times earlier on the road when I believed understanding one more thing would finally produce the map hope would show me, or choice would, or perhaps the stone, if I stayed with it long enough. Each time I arrived at more understanding and no more direction, I no longer expect the next idea to automatically be the one that changes that. I no longer walk toward answers as if they are owed to me for the distance I have already covered. What I do instead, the only thing left that feels honest, is keep noticing what movement without a map actually asks of me. It asks for attention instead of certainty. It asks for the next honest step instead of the whole road laid out in advance. It does not promise that the next step will bring me closer to a known tomorrow. It only allows for a lived one step accounted for in advance, taken away. I rise. I do not know the route. I say this to myself plainly, without flinching and without performance, the way I finally learned to say a true thing that used to embarrass me. I look once more toward where the golden place lies, behind me, and once more towards the mist ahead, which offers nothing. No shape, no promise, no map folding itself into view. I have come a long way to learn that this is what coming a long way actually feels like. Not arrival, not the route revealed, only this, proof, in the shape of distance covered, that I have moved, and the quiet, unresolved fact that movement and direction were never the same thing. I start walking, not because I know where the road leads, because nothing knowing was never a reason to stop.